Can I show you one thing first?
Yes.
I did a vision board again because it's fun. I did it with my friends Alicia and Amanda was at the party. But my favorite section of it is there's just this guy holding a carp and he's so happy because I love carp. They're like my favorite fish.
Yeah.
And there's just a little thing that says be with your feelings next to it. That's me this year.
That is so you coded.
I know, I'm just like,
Going on the board.
I'm going on the board. Yeah, there's a shark on there, there's a salamander, there's a fish on a stamp.
So
There's lots of flowers, there are all sorts of cool shit.
a lot of fish imagery.
Yeah, I guess so. We're having a marine year. That's so funny. It's fucking Saturn return time, so he needs all the Pisces shit.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
You're like, that rings true to me.
Well, it's just because like Saturn's returns are like, you're basically choosing like, how do you want to live the rest of your life? Like, do you want to keep continuing with old like not working patterns, or do you want to like rise above that? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I so very much want to rise above. Thank you for asking, but
You're like, it's hard, but I'll try. I'll try and do it.
I'm fucking trying, man.
You're like, do you want to be so repressed that you crumple like you're at the bottom of the ocean with all that pressure, like that Coke can in the ocean? Is that how you're trying to be? And I'm like, I'm not. It's hard, but I'm not trying to be like that. I'd really very much not like to be.
If that's cool.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to aisle 666, your one-stop shop for the internet's smoothest I'm trying not to say flattest, but flattest.
Planular, planar.
Plateau. Remember that from geography class? Plateau.
Love a plateau.
Conspiracy theories. I'm one of your hosts, Molly LeGros, and with me, as always,
Haley Clune and Lacey Monero, the other hosts.
For added fun, Haley does not have prior knowledge to the topic we will be discussing tonight, and the topic, of course, is flat Earth.
Whoa. What if the Earth was like a discus, though?
That's literally what they think.
That's the hypothesis. You're like, so let's get into it.
I didn't know.
Like, let's get on top of it because it's flat.
Right, you can't get into it because it's not.
I guess you could, but let's stand on top of it.
We're standing on top of it. We're not into it.
We're not into it. We're on it.
Never will be. So there's very minimal reasoning behind this. And like, I know you're probably expecting that, but like,
yeah, you're like, there's not a lot of depth to
right. Like most questions that you'll have are answered just like, that's just what they think.
Oh yeah, everything's very debunkable or not.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Also, before I get into it, have I ever told you that my mom once accidentally went on a date with a flat earther?
This sounds vaguely familiar. Maybe. Retell it for all of us to hear.
She didn't know beforehand.
It's like what? Yeah, like what was the big reveal? Yeah. Well, we're acts 1 and 2.
She was not like, yes, I am cognizant that you are a flat earther and I'm agreeing to a date. That is not what.
Yeah, it wasn't like a flat earther dating specific site.
They need one, honestly. Yeah. So she's like I think she's on OkCupid, and this guy messaged her a few times and she was like, yeah, I'll go get a drink or whatever. So she went out with him, and this was like right during the time when we were like allowed to see each other again, like during the pandemic.
Oh, COVID. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He started off with like the whole like 5G thing, like,
oh shit, okay.
5G.
He's building his portfolio. He's building.
I don't even know exactly what it is that they think on that one, but I just know it's like they think that 5G is what I don't.
Are COVID and 5G correlated?
Well, I think they think that COVID is not actually real and people are just getting so sick because of 5G.
It's the 5Gs.
So I don't know how that works with like spreading it to people, because it's definitely a fucking virus.
Well, it's airborne. The 5Gs are in the air.
But again, there's not a lot of depth there. So.
Yeah. It's just like, that's what I think, and that's what it is. And you're like,
But
okay.
yeah, so he said that to her, and she was like, wait, what?
She's like, what have I got myself into?
And then he started in on about how the earth is flat, and she like made up an excuse and left.
Dude, I would have stayed and played into it and been like, tell me, educate me for fodder later.
You're like, this is going nowhere, but I only get these opportunities, so few.
Yeah. It's like an interview with a guest, like you're the guest of honor at the talk.
Okay, so here we go. So spearheading the they, whoever they is, they lied to you conspiracy theories. Enter the flat earthers. In 2017, obviously this did not start in 2017.
I just made the biggest face. I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck? Around the World in 80 Days had already been out around. It came out like
You
the
ever
40s.
seen that movie?
Yeah.
Like, and what if the answer was no, they'd never seen it, and then once they did, they were like, well, I guess I was wrong.
Wait, I already have a question too, because like it's flat, but like even flat things have undersides. You know what I mean? You could still go around that.
Right. And
Like
I
a coin,
think
two sides of a coin, that's flat. You can go around it. I don't know.
no, you're not wrong. I think you're gonna run into that a lot though.
Okay.
Like
So like just process that now.
I think you are what is it that one senator said about women that they're like over educated these days? Okay, I decided to look this up so that I had the correct quoting here. And of course, it was fucking Matt Gaetz, who is, of course, a far right representative for the state of Florida. And the quote that he tweeted was, how many of the women rallying against overturning Roe are overeducated, underloved millennials who sadly returned from protests to a lonely microwave dinner with their cats and no Bumble matches?
They're like, they know too much. Shut it down.
So, okay, so in 2017, the rapper B.o.B started a crowdfunding campaign to launch a satellite, which even just right there,
What?
we're launching a satellite to prove that the earth is flat. How the fuck would you do that?
Do we already have satellites? Wait,
We
oh, what
do.
specifically? Okay, I
We
was like, they're
do.
already up
The
there.
whole point of a satellite is that it's leaving something.
Yeah, the curvature of the earth.
Anyway, he
Okay.
started a crowdfunding campaign to launch a satellite. He is a vocal proponent of the flat earth theory and wanted to seek evidence that our planet is a disk, not a globe.
Oh my God. All right.
Aim was to raise $200,000, later upped to 1 million on GoFundMe, with the aim of sending one or more crafts into space to help him find the curve, the term that flat earthers use to describe wherever like the edge would be.
Oh, so that curve, not
Yeah,
like
like that, like I
okay,
guess like horizontal curve.
okay, the
Um,
edge, kind of, I guess.
yeah, I think a better phrase for them would be find the edge.
Yeah, that sounds way cooler, and I can picture it better.
Right.
Like less
Like
questions.
if we're finding curves, then you're admitting that curves exist.
Yeah.
They never came close to even the first goal, which was 200,000.
Okay.
Because then he was like, well, fuck 200,000, make it 1 million.
Yeah, you're moving the goalpost too much.
I went like I just basically was like Google searching, like what is if someone could just give me like overview of what even is the flat earth theory and like where it comes from, why do they believe what they believe? So I ended up on this website called Scientific American, which is a podcast, and it was actually really cool. And I may listen to more episodes. So so listeners, Scientific American, pretty cool. And they interview this guy named Michael Marshall of the Good Thinking Society in the UK. And so Michael Marshall started this society because he wants to know why the heck some people think the earth is flat. And he spends a lot of his studies specifically looking into theories that he does not believe to understand what brings people to believing them.
Oh, I like that. Okay. He's like, I want to know why.
Yeah, he's like, you keep it over there, but but
Let me watch from afar.
then the host, he was like, I'm interested in this, or I'm interested in what you found because I've found that like educated people believe this. But so his sister-in-law, she is a flat earther, and he when he asked her why, she said, if you looked at the evidence, then you'd know. And that's really all anyone says about this is like, they lied, and if you look at the evidence, there, which of course they are not presenting any evidence to you, but if you
Yeah.
search for the evidence, you'll know.
Right.
So yeah, so people who believe in flat earth, they think it's a flat, or I guess there's actually debate within the flat earth community.
It's
Some
always
people,
the infighting begins.
yeah,
You're like, how flat? The Earth's flat. How flat is it?
some think it's like the flat disc, and like Antarctica is on the edges, so like it looks like a cool.
Oh, you like kind of if you just like you just like smushed a globe from the
Yeah.
top down. Okay, that's what I'm picturing.
But the flip side of it is that some flat earthers think that Antarctica goes on in all directions and essentially don't believe in space.
What do you mean you don't believe in space? What? What? Wait, so do they think Antarctica is space?
Or like, yeah,
Like if it goes out in all directions, I'm like, so is the Earth resting on Antarctica? And if space isn't real, Antarctica is the thing that's holding the flat Earth.
yes. But again, that is a lot more critical thinking
Okay.
than
You're putting pieces together that aren't even there.
that's what I mean. Like, you just gotta take this
All right.
what it is.
Okay. You're like, don't think too hard.
Really, no,
No,
literally.
they lied.
Yeah, because they lied. You need to find the evidence.
Mhm.
And it's either a disc in space. So the discers, they
Yeah,
think
the sisters.
they they at least believe in space. But
Okay.
but if you think that Antarctica just goes on in all directions, then you are a part of the infinite plane theory faction.
Sounds cool.
Michael Marshall, he talks about as part of his studies of like specifically things that he doesn't believe in. He went to like flat earth conventions because those exist.
Yes.
He was like, I actually found some people who believe in a round earth, but went to these to like essentially troll people. Like they would ask like the kind of questions that you're asking, but they would also like argue fictionalized in their heads responses to those questions because like it's like funny to argue for a side that you don't believe in, basically.
Or is it just people going there to play devil's advocate to
I
be?
mean, like, quote unquote, yes,
Yeah.
but it's just like people who apparently have too much time on their hands.
Right. I know. Yeah.
They're like, wouldn't it be hilarious if I pretended to be a flat earther and like actually explain things to people? And so in doing that, they converted more people to
I was gonna say, I'm like, like moths to the flat flame.
literally.
They
Yeah,
got
like
into
just
into the
inadvertently
thing.
recruited more people to the cause.
The best. That's literally like when you go into a timeshare thing and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fucking take these idiots for all they
Yeah.
got. I'm gonna get a free breakfast. I'm gonna get a free weekend. And then you're like, fuck, how do I own all these timeshares? It's just a 90-minute presentation.
How am I out $10,000?
What the fuck happened to me?
I have no money.
No money, but I do have a house in Malibu for 1 month of the year.
Not this month.
Not this month, but
Okay, so just to give you a little backstory of like obviously the theory. So the modern case for a flat earth derives largely from Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, which is a book that was published in 1865.
okay, fucking sure. It's like they were still working on it. Like, that's fine.
Like, I don't really
I
care.
don't blame them. They're working all the kinks out.
So it was written by an English inventor and religious fundamentalist named Samuel Robotham. Robotham? Robotham.
Robo thumbs.
Robotham.
Robot ham.
Robot ham. I also read this New Yorker article that was basically an ethnography of the same kind of thing, like going to these conventions and like just being like, so what the fuck is up with you guys?
Yeah, you're like, this is more like a social commentary piece.
So the guy who wrote this article, who detailed the history of it, said, I found a copy of the book at a bookseller's table in the corridor just outside the conference ballroom, alongside books about the Revelations and New Testament Apocrypha. The vendor was a friendly woman who looked to be in her late 60s and offered her thoughts on Earth's flatness and the shrouding secrecy. But I moved on when she got to the Jews.
Oh no.
Because that is what happens. Like,
Yep.
it is a fine line between flat Earth and racism for these people.
Well, I feel like it seems like a lot of conspiracy because it's always like the they. Like, I feel like everyone's just
Yeah,
looking
no,
for the they to pin things on.
literally. One of the things that the guy from the podcast he said was like, you think you could go to these, conventions and be like, well, we have pictures of the earth, like, what do you make of that? Everything is, those are fake. They lied to you. I can.
Well, I do feel like I wonder how long that's been like, because at this point in time, it's so sad how that's like a decent argument. You're just like, yeah, most things can be faked. Like we've gone
Right.
so far in the other direction where you're like, fuck, that's a decent point. I don't know.
Right. Well, because in 1865, they weren't talking about they lying to you.
Yeah.
Like that was more so based in creationism. Because I think those people would have been on the infinite plane wagon.
Okay. Yeah.
Because obviously, like, we hadn't done any sort of space travel in the 1800s. They thought it was more so like, well, God made this and shut up.
Right.
And don't ask questions about
If you don't like it, get out.
it. There's the door.
Yeah, there's the door. There's the plane. There's the jump off the edge of the earth.
For all I fucking care.
Yeah, probably shit.
So also in the New Yorker article, which is by Alan Burdick, he said, if we can agree on anything anymore, it's that we live in a post-truth era.
Mm-hmm.
Facts are no longer correct or incorrect. Everything is potentially true unless it's disagreeable, in which case it's fake.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So I think this article was written shortly after the 2016 election because they mentioned how Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes said that in an interview with Trump, he told her that the reason he maligns the press is to discredit you all and demean you all so that when you write negative stories about me, no one will believe you.
Wow, I didn't know he was that self-aware. I guess that makes sense.
Like, I was like, fuck. So
He's like, I'm undermining you. I'm manipulating people's perception of reality. And you're like, oh, that's scarier that you know that that's what you're doing.
right. Press is press.
Yeah, he's like, well, this is how I'm gonna work it.
They quoted George Costanza.
I love that. All right.
He said, or as George Costanza put it, coming from the opposite direction, it's not a lie if you believe
If you believe it.
So both Michael Marshall and Alan Burdick, in both of their, like in the podcast and the article, they talk to a lot of the proponents of the theory that like actually speak at these
the spokespeople.
They literally call science scientism.
Is it because of like the creationism? Like they're trying to make it more like it's a set of beliefs and not like factual.
Yeah, that does make sense.
It just seems like a way to undermine science.
Maybe. I was just like, why the fuck are you making up words now?
Maybe they thought it was scientific and they're like, that's just the next iteration of this word.
One of the speakers was screening a documentary called Scientism Exposed 2.
Oh, shit.
Which dismisses dinosaurs, evolution, gravitational waves, and round Earth as part of a broad agenda to hide the true creator of creation.
What? I wonder what was in the first one. They covered so
I
much.
know. I'm like, what did you expose the
What was
first time?
what was the first one about?
He's like, the first one was about my bitch ex-wife.
And my drinking buddy Scott at the bar. The first one was called Trish is a Bitch, Scientism Part 1. That was just like to get to know him as a director and filmmaker. And then he's like, all right, this is just you. The second one's just me presenting my information.
Right.
I wasn't ready yet, but I had deadlines. So that's the first one. This is the second one.
One of the other speakers, his name is Jaron Campanella. He literally gets on the podium and says, facts are not true just because they're facts, if that makes any sense.
Hashtag post-truth era.
Literally. And I was like, it most certainly does not make sense.
If you can follow me here.
If you're with me. We're just gonna make this shit up and we're all gonna agree to it. Okay? Is that cool? All right.
Never mind. I'm asking too many genuine questions.
No, what
Like, there was the truth then true? Like, does he have a word for what a fact is? Like, what constitutes a fact then? Or are there no facts?
that's what I want to know that too.
Yeah, you're like, I'd also like answers on that.
Do you know
Or is that just like reality? Like, what is his word for that?
I'm like, can you give me the dictionary definition of fact?
It is, just so everyone knows, fact, a thing that is known or proved to be true.
Proved to be true.
Yeah. Evidence. It's like, how thick do they think the earth is? Is there still like a mantle and core and stuff? It's just compressed.
What you see is all there is.
You're like, see the earth, smush it all. It's all in there still. We didn't lose any of the information. It's just smushed.
If you dig too far, you'll get to the core.
Yeah. Or Antarctic space if you drill through the center.
So those who believe in flat earth call those who believe in a round earth globers, or more deftly, globetards.
I thought you were gonna say globetrotters, and I was like, yes.
I would love to be a globetrotter.
You're like, I get to be a globetrotter just by like living real life.
Yeah, hell yeah. Sign me up, baby.
Do I get the cool basketball tricks like routine?
Yeah, do I finally know how to spin a basketball on my finger? And like, could I like double up and do like 10 on 2 fingers?
Could I like roll? Like, could I run on a basketball?
Could I jump on a trampoline and fucking sink a shot? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. The possibilities are endless.
I would love to be call me a globetrotter, please.
I'd be honored.
But yeah, globetrotter.
I'm gonna drop that on people. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck did you just call me?" What do they call each other? Did they like nick?
Geniuses.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know, really smart dudes.
This started getting popular again, like more recently, when someone named Eric Dubé released a video on YouTube that was called 200 Proofs That the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball.
Oh, hell yeah. Give them to me.
It should be noted that Dubé has also gained a lot of attention for his Holocaust denialism. I turned it on, and the first 5 minutes, they're just repeating the phrase flat earth as many times as possible.
God, they're trying to get you in a hypnotic state. Maybe
Yes.
that's what they're getting people at the seminars.
He has like a bunch of shots cut together of just like, it looks like screenshots, honestly, of, I guess they're like scientific documents that prove this, and like highlighting different sections of it. I mean, they don't stop long enough for a person.
I was gonna say, but they're going too fast for you to read them. Continue.
Yes.
I already assumed that.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just like these frames going one after the other, and they're just like flat earth, and a flat earth was evident. And this proves that this was a flat earth.
Flat earth over here, flat earth over there.
It literally reminded me of like when John Oliver on Last Week Tonight, when he like cuts a bunch of like news clips together when they like
Like
saying
getting
the same thing over and over again. I'm like, you're just doing the work for him at this point.
This is just a reel on flat earth.
So I didn't get past all of the flat earth, because if it was just
like, God, I get it.
Like, if it was just the first like 10 seconds, like fine. But it literally went on for so long.
To the point where you're like, is this a bit? Are they're gonna do this 200 times?
And the video is 2 hours long.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I was like, I can't
Did
do
you jump around a little bit? Like, what's the middle section like?
it's horribly edited too. Different like recordings of people that are clearly taken out of context, and also just their own like audio of them, like people who believe in this, like just talking about it. It's incredibly biased, and then like they misappropriate a lot of like quote unquote studies,
Uh-huh.
proofs that ranged from simplistic to literal to religious.
Okay.
And because there was like something for everyone,
Yeah, he's like, here's all the angles that could get you to believe this.
yes, it became incredibly palatable to crazies.
Yeah.
Okay, proof number one, the horizon looks flat. That's one.
Okay.
The
Wow. All
horizon
right.
looks flat. Proof number two, even if you go up a mountain, the horizon still looks flat.
You're like flat, but from up here. From a different angle, perhaps. Different vantage points of flatness.
Proof number three, water can't stick to a curved surface. It falls.
So, like, all the water would be gone by now because it would have just fallen off the
So
edge.
like it always goes level, and so there's no way it could stick to a pole. They're
Well,
like,
I get like not that I don't get it at all, but the fact that like space doesn't exist because you're like, well, yeah, if there was like nothing and no gravity keeping the water in, like space couldn't exist with these like facts, like not sorry, not fact, whatever the fuck proofs. These proofs couldn't exist with the existence of space. So maybe they just retrofitted that in there to prove the proofs. I don't know. We're only at three.
I love how they keep trying to like insult the whole like globe prospect of it and keep saying ball.
Oh yeah, they're
It's not a
belittling
fucking ball,
it.
idiot. Then they get into religious theories. Proof 199 says that well, Isaac Newton and Neil Armstrong and Galileo, they were all Freemasons. Therefore, the world is flat
What does Neil Armstrong have to do with anything?
because he didn't walk on the moon.
Oh my God,
I'm
I
damn
always
sure.
do this. I mix up Neil Armstrong with Lance Armstrong.
I do that all the time, actually. I remember my mom hated him because he cheated on Sheryl Crow.
Oh my God.
Like they were married, and yeah, and they're not married anymore, obviously, but he cheated on Sheryl Crow. So my mom was like, "So we're not getting Live Strong bracelets."
That's wild.
And she got us breast cancer bracelets instead. Yeah, so they're all Freemasons, and I actually don't exactly know what that theory is either. So
Yeah, I feel like that's like Illuminati adjacent, right?
yeah, we'll get into that one someday, maybe. Every answer to every question that you could possibly ask them is that they lied to you. So, like, if you bring up visual pieces of evidence, they say you can't trust visual evidence because you can do a composite job or like Photoshop or
Right.
whatever. And they say that NASA even admits that the photographs that we have from like of the Earth and like from the moon and all that, they say that they're composites, but that's just the kind of photo that they are. Like they're like Michael Marshall explained, like they're just taken with a camera that isn't far enough away to get the entire Earth in one go.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
They're piecing together parts of real photographs
right,
taken at the same time. Yeah.
right. That's just what a composite is. That's not it's not like a collage. So NASA is evil to flat earthers. Like they think that they're just like out to
Well, see, they're trying to debunk them. That's like public enemy number one.
some even believe NASA is an agent of the devil. And I love again how that can be a valid reason
You're like,
for
well, NASA's an agent of the devil, so
so
you're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
ah damn, well, let me back off. And they compare satellite evidence that like satellites have literally traveled around the earth, obviously, they compare that to sailing around an island.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because, like, obviously you can get around an island.
Yeah. There's two types of arounds. And like that's true. That's not but
Yeah.
yeah, you can go around something. Yeah, there's like around 2D and then around 3D. They're not with the 3D one.
They're not. No, no, no. They're like, I like circles. Spheres, get them away.
Yeah, Sears too much.
One of my favorite explanations was one of the speakers at the Flat Earth Convention, who's an Argentinian conspiracy theorist. He said, "We know for a fact that the UN is a front for the new or one world order, because if you look at the Spanish name for the UN, it is the ONU. And if you read that backwards, it's UNO, which is Spanish for one."
Wait, what? I don't understand. What does that have to
And
do with the Earth?
this is just about people
Oh,
lying.
I was like, wow. Because at first I was like, doesn't the UN have like their logo has the globe
Yes.
in it? So at first I thought you
Oh,
were there.
yes. The
I was
UN
like, hold
logo.
on.
The UN logo is a hot button issue for these people.
Oh, because it is top down of the Earth. I get it.
Yeah. Apparently, so I'm gonna look up the UN logo because I didn't
Okay,
look.
I have it. It like to be fair, it looks like one. They should get along with people.
Oh, okay, I see. All right.
They should get along with the UN because it looks like a lot of the illustrations I found where someone it's just like a top-down view of the Earth, like flat.
Well, so their huge gripe with the UN logo is, where is Antarctica? And the easy answer for that is that Antarctica is not a country.
I didn't even think of that.
So therefore would not be involved in the United
Yeah,
Nations.
they're like, we don't need that. Yeah, that we're not concerned with that.
I didn't finish that Spanish one. So
Tell
UNO,
me again.
Spanish for one, and therefore we know for a fact that the UN is a front for the one world order, because the reverse name of it in Spanish is Spanish for one. And so then Michael Marshall goes, my friend I was at the convention with leaned over and goes, does he realize that UN is already French for one?
I didn't even think of that. Well, because I was like, it's do people call it the UN? Oh no. Oh,
No, so
United
he
Nations
was saying,
Organization.
so in Spanish, the acronym for UN translates to ONU. I don't
Okay, I see.
what I don't know exactly how that would translate. I was trying to think of it.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that the united part of it comes at the end because that's
Yeah.
how like the adjectives work.
Yeah.
I don't know what the O would be, but anyway, yeah, it's ONU.
Uh-huh.
So so when you read that backwards.
Yeah. Or forwards in French. Either way, it's one.
And that apparently is not good. One is not a good number for them.
Singularity bad.
So the people who like the infinite plane theory people, some of them think,
Antarctica, no. Antarctica's all around us.
yeah, and it goes on forever.
Okay, yeah.
Some of them think that we're under the dome,
Yeah.
and that the planets are projected onto said dome.
Projected. What do you wait? Oh, like the planets aren't real. We've just projected them onto the dome to trick people. Oh.
Yeah.
Do they think the sun and the moon are real? I know those aren't planets, but like how do they think how do they think nature works? Like, how do they think we grow stuff?
I don't like the thing is like they clearly don't think that far.
Yeah, you're like you're taking it too seriously.
No, you're not. Like that's the thing. Like these are very fair. I can't imagine not having these questions.
Yes. Yeah, and
Like
that's the problem.
how
I think we're living in a planetarium.
those people think that we're basically living in like a Truman Show scenario.
Yeah.
That is a lot of people to Truman Show.
Yeah.
They did that to one guy in the movie.
Like he caught on.
So some believers point to the fact that there's a German engineer from whom like our own trips to like space and the moon wouldn't have been possible. He like I forget what exactly he discovered, but he discovered something in the realm of engineering that is like why we're able to travel to space.
Okay.
And on his epitaph, he has a psalm from the Bible, and it's like about the sky, apparently. And so Mark Sargent, who's like a huge proponent of the flat earth movement, he said, why would the father of space exploration have on his gravestone a reference to the biblical roof on top of the world, if not a post-deathbed confessional?
And in my mind, I'm like, oh, that was probably a really pretty quote about the sky. And he traveled to space and has a lot of appreciation for that.
Yeah.
They're like reading too deep into things when it's not necessary. And then like the things they're taking
Right.
back, they're not thinking critically enough about.
Right. So Michael Marshall, he was like, now I would argue, he said the same thing you did, actually. He goes, now I would argue the reference is much more about the first bit of the heavens declare the glory of God for man or whatever, who saw his technology has been the key to the heavens, aka space.
Right, yeah.
Doy.
You're like, that's his life's work. Like on the thing. That's how he relates to that.
Basically, they concluded that like flat earth is the Rosetta Stone to conspiracy theories, because it's all very much they lie, like I keep saying it, they lied to you, and like that's it.
Like they is NASA a lot.
Much of the time they is NASA.
And what is it? Scientism.
Scientism,
Yeah.
not science.
Yeah, not science.
Which is already the word that they would want to use,
Because
even if
that like
we're
goes
exposing
hand in hand with
something.
facts. And like those aren't real.
Those don't even talk to me about facts, even though they love to say it is a fact.
No, it's a proof. Just throwing fact out there willy-nilly.
Literally. But then also like things that have actually been proven to be fact, they're like, those aren't facts. Facts aren't always true. So flat earth is not even really the most pressing topic at flat earth conventions, believe it or not. It all goes to like dinosaurs are fake, the planets are a projection, anti-vaccination.
There's so much other stuff to talk about. Like we know you're here because you don't think the Earth's flat. What else do you think is a fact?
What else you got in there? According to flat earthers, there's a practice called compartmentalism that keeps us all in the dark. So they actually pity us, essentially.
The Globers.
The Globetrotters. So they say that they call them lower level government. I don't even know who they would consider to be lower level government, but they are fed the lie, and they therefore teach that to the masses, like i.e. teachers. So they're like, we don't fault teachers. Like they definitely do though, because like they are all about like, wake up.
Yeah, they're like, why aren't you listening to us?
They think we are brainwashed.
It's a two-way street. What you're telling me.
Yes.
They're pitying us, we're pitying them, and then
And the Illuminati are who know for certain that the earth is flat.
okay.
It gets compartmentalized. That's what they call compartmentalism. That's why round earth is taught in school. So flat earthers also go to these conventions for a sense of community, because these are the only spaces they feel safe expressing their opinions.
Right.
Many are very concerned that they'd lose their jobs if they were open about their beliefs. And I don't understand that point, only because I'm like, you could just be the crazy person at work.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you lose your job for being shitty at your job.
Right.
If the flat earth started affecting your work, then maybe you do lose your job.
Like if you endangered people at work because of your beliefs, which many of them do, like you're not getting fired because you think the earth is flat. You're getting fired because you were screaming at a customer in the middle
Yeah,
of
like
school.
because you're being like vocally anti-Semitic. That's why you're getting fired.
Literally. God, they just want to be oppressed so bad. Some of them say you can tell people you're gay, you can tell people you're Christian, but you don't get ridiculed like a flat earther. Please. Can you tell people you're gay?
I was gonna say, I feel like you can get backlash from either side on either of those stances.
Literally.
People be like, oh, you're Christian, or oh, you're gay. Like you
They think that like believing in science or scientism in any form is to like believe that we're all here for no reason. Since a lot of them are religious, like they think that like you're automatically atheist or like agnostic.
Right. Yeah, like spirituality can't coexist with being a globetrot.
Or never.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they tell you about becoming a Harlem Globetrotter.
You gotta pick. You want to go to heaven or do you want to fucking think the earth is round?
Or do you want to spin basketballs on your fingers?
Have a time of your life. You gotta pick right now.
You're like, I'm going for the Globetrotter.
You're like, that sounds cooler. You're like, do they got basketballs in heaven though? Should I hold out for the basketballs or should I live my life full of basketballs? They view this as like being oppressed for a religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes. They believe they're like persecuted, basically.
Yeah. Religious. That's why the pilgrims left England.
Yes, yes. Because they just wanted to have their flat earth.
Just leave me alone.
So people within the community even think that some of their own biggest proponents of this, like the people who speak at these conferences, they are what they refer to as shills, which I would equate to like narcs, basically. I don't know what shill is supposed to mean. Double agents, basically, like people purporting to espouse the theory, but who in fact belong to some deep state counterintelligence program aimed at making the movement seem laughable.
Whoa. Trust no one.
I was like, y'all are literally gonna collapse in on yourselves. This is from the New Yorker article. At the end of the conference's second day, a panelist mentioned a plan to set up a nonprofit to carry on the work. This brought a rebuke from a woman in the audience. You had me up until I heard you say the reason we had to scramble to get the 501c3, which is a form that registers you with the government as nonprofit. In my research, I found that it's a Luciferian contract.
That's like the most eloquent sentence I've heard so far.
In my experience, like with what I do with events and everything, a 501c3 usually is just what they give us to say that they're tax exempt.
Aren't all like work forms Luciferian contracts?
If we get down to it.
If someone tries to give me like a W-9 or a 1099 for like graphic design work, I'm gonna be like, no, you have to pay me under the table.
You have to pay me in gold and silver. The New Yorker article ends, I don't think it's this quote exactly, but I thought this was poignant. The flat earth was perhaps a scam, an emotional solve with no basis in physical reality. Now it has become both real and surreal, like a performance art piece in which nobody can tell the actors, stagehands, and audience apart.
That's the most eloquent sentence I've heard now.
I'm assuming we both very much believe in a round earth, but I'm going to go through some points that actually like prove that the earth is round.
Okay. You're like, just for some aftercare.
Just so we're all on the same fucking page. So like the ancient Greeks are actually who started, because like obviously Galileo, who are like started these studies, and I was like, did they have projectors back then? Because they first like started with the idea of like, okay, well if the moon is round, then the earth must be too. That was Pythagoras. And like as you move north or south from the equator, you see in a changing array of stars and constellations.
Right.
And that was Aristotle. You can calculate Earth's circumference by comparing lengths of the shadows of two tall sticks placed many miles apart. This is all just like basic like building blocks from
like you can do without a lot of technology.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
More recently, we've noticed that solar noon, the point in the day when the sun is at the highest, does not happen everywhere on the earth at the same time. So doi time zones.
Right. You're like, right.
And also just the fact that the sun rises and falls like in a circular motion.
Right. Yeah, it's going like this. Oh wait, people can't see that and you can't see that, but yeah, I was making an arc with my hand. That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, so that's another thing where I'm like, all right, well, if it's flat and it's a fucking projection or whatever the fuck, wouldn't it come up straight and then also go down straight? So, also to their point about like when you climb a mountain, the horizon still looks flat. The higher you climb in elevation, the farther into the horizon you can see.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Because
like,
you're looking.
what was once flat to you, if you get higher, you can see more of it.
Right. You can do that with like just your eye line and like objects.
And they said if the earth were flat, you'd see an equal distance to the edge of the world, first of all.
Right. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. You would see the edge at some point.
They also point out the fact that, like, so much of our engineering takes Earth's curvature into account.
Mhm.
Like, lighthouses are deliberately built tall so that their beams can be seen from far away
Oh man.
over the intervening curve of the sea.
It's so funny though, because like you're saying all this and I like know all of it's true, but like I do take for granted how I just like don't have to think about the mechanics of how things
Literally.
at the same time I'm just like, you're right. As in like I'm like astounded that you're right, but I'm
Yeah.
like, no, yeah, that's just like how things work.
Yeah, no, because I'm like, I never questioned this, so I never needed to know all this shit.
Yeah, I didn't need to know how I need to know how the sausage was made. The sausage of physics was
Yeah, there you go.
that's what I'm trying to say.
So radio towers send signals for like dozens or hundreds of miles by bouncing them off the ionosphere.
Oh wow, okay.
Which I didn't know the specifics of that either, but essentially radio towers in the way that they are constructed would not be necessary if the earth were flat.
Oh right, because could the signal just go like on and on and on?
Yeah.
I feel like you're quizzing me. You're like, and why would this? How would this work differently if they're like this? And you're like, yep.
Because you're a well-adjusted human being. You know who we need for this conversation is Colby.
I'll say, where's Colby Bot?
Because he would be able to explain this better than I
Yeah.
can. Because there's also like bridges also are not just like boom boom you got a bridge
Right.
like there's so many like different mechanics that go into like what makes a successful bridge.
Well, and too, I know like it's like you have to be able to like expand and contract. Like the more rigid it is, the more
Yeah,
it break, and that's when it's unsafe.
right.
I also don't know about civil engineering, but I know enough to be like, even like houses, like foundations and shit, like it has to be a little fluid so it doesn't crack all the time.
So the last bit of evidence that they have is that we also have pictures. Yeah, so that is all of the information that I had. I realize we don't necessarily have to do like a do we believe it section. So yeah, I mean obviously I know your thoughts because like you were saying them the entire time, but like what do you make of all of this basically?
I like want more information, like, because it's like interesting to hear about, but I guess there's not enough behind the information.
Yeah. I did want to know more about the like really early on people like who thought it was flat because I just like I feel like we learned about that very briefly in school so that they could be like but the earth is round you know like but I just remember that it coming back into weird prominence like during the 2016 election. Like I hadn't heard about flat earth in a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Some of these I'm just like, oh no, I that's cool, or I can like see the angle, and not this one. I'm like, I don't know.
Like especially with like the like reptilians one. I was like, yeah, for sure. I think that could be lizard people. I don't think
Tell
they
me more. I would love to be proven wrong.
I'm like, I don't think they necessarily do all the shit that like the far right people say that they do. Like, I just think
Right.
that they exist.
Yeah, it's more like a cryptid situation.
Literally. But like with this, I'm like,
You're like,
and
you guys gotta stop.
yeah,
Now you're making me upset.
you're pissing me off.
Me off. Don't piss me off. Yeah, that's just what, yeah, I want to know more details because it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know, I love like basic ass like geography and like learning about the earth. I think it's neat. So I want to know like what, like if they could like pitch a lesson plan and like poke holes in everything we know to be true, I'd love to hear it because that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, if they actually do that. I just like the whole like I'm like, how does a person just accept they lied to you?
Right, yeah, don't you want to know more? Yeah, like isn't it your instinct to be like, but why? Like explain.
Right. Like I'm like, first of all, who lied to me?
Yeah. The
Why did they lie? What do you how can you prove to me that they lied?
And then I wonder too, like because it is like religion adjacent, is it like passed down through families? Like how are we making more?
Yeah, very true. I well, I remember like from the podcast and like the articles that I was reading, like people do bring their children to those conferences.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of scary.
Well, because then you just like, oh my God, I'm getting insane with it. But like then, so if you're learning that at home and then you go to school, you're just like, fucking, I don't know what to think anymore.
No,
But
I
maybe
know,
that's
but
good because then you learn to question things more. But then I guess it depends on the person. Maybe you don't.
yeah,
But
well, yeah, no, I think it really does. And also like who you end up being able to like I hate saying be exposed to, but like a lot of people homeschool their children who believe this.
right, that's yeah, that's very true.
So like if you're able to actually go to public school, I would hope that you would like
Right,
be
because that's not true all the time too. There's just like curriculum. They're like, no,
yeah.
can't teach that.
Yeah, they're like my parents said this is a lie.
Yeah,
I hope it dies out.
I know. You're like, we'll see.
We'll see as we get older.
Well, then you think too, like if we could send those people to space, like since fucking that's the new thing, is like we're gonna go to space. You're like, all right, and then maybe that's the ticket to get people to
Maybe.
believe.
Yeah, maybe we just gotta like pull a whole interstellar kind of mission,
Yeah,
switch planets entirely, and then they'd be like, "Oh shit, we're switching planets."
yeah.
I
Now
guess.
that we know.
My bad, guys. Thank you everyone so very much for joining us this week. This was frustrating for sure. The the quote unquote points and proofs and evidence.
But not facts.
But Haley and I had fun with each other.
Yeah, we got to connect. That's what really matters.
That's maybe the fun. Oh my god. I was trying to say maybe it was the friends we made along the way, but I couldn't figure out what the first
Maybe
part
it
of
was
it.
the fun we had along the way.
Yeah, you know.
It's an alternative way to say that.
There you go. We had fun yet again.
All right, we had some flat themed fun.
Some discular fun.
Some 2D antics.
And we also got to talk about the Harlem Globetrotters, so that was great.
Yeah, it was a bonus.
Anytime they get in there, that's just a day made.
Yeah. You're just like, and then they don't show up where you think they're gonna.
Maybe the Harlem Globetrotters were the friends we made along the way.
I like that.
Well, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.